Spring football is behind us, the summer fall camp in front, and the 2025 college football season. Notre Dame has a lot of expectations heading into next year, but there are a couple positions that I still have a little bit of worry heading into the fall. Let's talk about the couple spots that I think still need some answers to be found the rest of the offseason. Ryan Roberts from A to Z Sports breaking down everything Notre Dame football. Folks, spring ball is behind us. Now we just have the summer and then fall camp to worry about for this 2025 Notre Dame Fighting Irish team. Obviously heading into the 2025 season with a whole lot of expectations. And talked about in a video on this channel recently about the things that I felt best about comparative to where I was before spring practice. So something that happened in spring that really made me feel better about a particular position. Talked about the quarterback spot among others, but I really wanted to focus now on the couple question marks that do still remain. And I wanted to go to 3 positions, but honestly, I just didn't feel passionately enough about like defensive tackle, for instance. Yes, there's still some questions as far as what the rotation looks like and who's your dudes in that room and everything, but there's just so much talent overall. I'm not overly worried about what defensive tackle is going to look like. I thought about left tackle just for the consistent conversation about Anthony Knapp potentially being the starting left tackle and what he'll look like as a sophomore. But I really wanted to hone in on 2 different positions, both on the offensive side of the football that I still have major question marks in. I want to start at tight ends. And I know some people will just kind of dismiss this one because, hey, Notre Dame's going to a more wide receiver centric type of offensive system with CJ Carr or Kenny Minchie under center for the Fighting Irish. But I would just like to say, first and foremost, tight end is one of the big strengths for this Notre Dame team historically. And I do think that from a just general ideological perspective, that Notre Dame will always be built around the tight end position. And some people also left the spring feeling great about where Eli Raridan was able to do and to take a step forward. And while I actually am a big fan of Eli Raridan, there are still some remaining question marks in that room. And let's start with Eli Raridan as we kind of break down the tight end position. He is extremely talented. There's a reason that he was a high-level 4-star athlete coming out of high school, 6'7", 250 pounds. The kid is extremely athletic, and we've seen flashes at times. But here's the problem with Eli Raridan being your dude for sure in a room. 1, he hasn't had a ton of production, 11 receptions, 90-something yards, last season. And also, if he is that guy that is the foregone best player in your room, it has to leave you a little bit uneasy just based upon the past injuries that he has dealt with, multiple knee surgeries during his Notre Dame career. So it doesn't mean Eli Raridan can't be a heck of a player for Notre Dame in the blue and gold this year, but it does give you a little bit uneasiness at top, and you're one bad injury away from Jack Larson maybe being tight end 1. Does Ty Washington from Arkansas, the transfer, come in during the summer and make a big leap? I mean, I don't know. He's had one game in his career that made up like 40-something% of his career production in his multiple years with the Arkansas program. So have no idea what to expect from him. Can James Flanagan come in as a true freshman in the summer and make an impact? It's just an unsettling position because I still think the depth is a major issue. At wide receiver, it's actually a completely different conversation. I think the depth at wide receiver is in a good spot for Notre Dame. But leaving the spring, I'm still uneasy about some things that I've heard, some things I've learned, because I was hoping what was going to happen was we got a couple of the young guys that had opportunities in the spring, and they took a massive step forward, whether that be Cam Williams, whether that be KK Smith, whether that be Micah Gilbert's. And unfortunately, Micah Gilbert was limited in the spring with the hand injury. Cam Williams, you heard some good things, but not enough. You heard some good things about KK Smith, but not enough. I came out of the spring, actually, the guy that people are talking about most is Will Pauling, the transfer from Wisconsin, which is fine in a vacuum. But when you really kind of sit back and think about it, think about the 2 players that were hyped up most this spring. One was Will Pauling, who has production in his career, sure, but he also led all of FBS in drop passes last season. So the most recent film we have of him at Wisconsin was not very good. And the other guy people keep talking about is Elijah Burris, true freshman. And this is all due respect to Elijah Burris. But Elijah Burris right now today is 180 pounds, true freshman who runs somewhere in the 4.6s. If that is the guy that is getting talked about most in a wide receiver room, I think that that is a slight red flag being raised. Again, doesn't mean that Elijah Burris can't end up being a good football player at Notre Dame at some point, but I really was hoping you were going to hear more about some of the quote-unquote more talented players in the room. Now, this conversation could completely morph in the summer. Malachi Fields is coming. You still have Jaden Greathouse, but I am still a little bit uneasy and on the edge of my seat to see what this wide receiver position looks like. Because you hear great things about it in practice, but the things I'm hearing, I still have question marks as far as how impactful that route will be, especially with a young quarterback breaking in this fall. Folks, put in the chat right now. We're going to be a little bit pessimistic on this show today, okay? Put into the chat, what is one or two things that you are still worried about for this Notre Dame team going into 2025? What are the question marks that still remain? Make sure that like button and subscribe on the way out. And as always, go Irish.